Hi everybody, I'm Phil Fatika and welcome back to Millcreek Government Channel, Channel 9. Today I want to introduce you to a gentleman who works for an organization you've heard a great deal about and we hope today you're going to know a lot about. That is the Jefferson Education Society. This is Furky Ferretti. Furky, you are the
Executive Director of the Jefferson Society.
Okay,
thank you for having me, Phil.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to come on. As we are taping this, I understand it is your birthday. You are now 3 years old.
We just turned 3 years old today.
And you look terrific.
Thanks. Thanks, I guess. We opened in 2008, in September of 2008, and we started up with about 11 programs. At that point, our main focus was only programs, and we'll get more into that later. But we offered 11 programs, and I believe we averaged about 12 people per program. A year later in...
By a program, you mean you had a series of lectures that people come in to see? And by the way, let me correct myself, I misspoke. It's the Jefferson Educational Society. I believe I said the Jefferson Education Society. So let me correct myself. So programs being you offered to the public something?
Yeah, it's basically we offer lectures, seminar courses, luncheons, and so on and so forth. The lecture is only an hour and a half, where you can come in and listen in a particular topic. Let's say recently we had a lecture by County Executive Barry Grossman, who spoke on Adams and Jefferson letters and how they corresponded with each other through thousands of letters for 30 years, I believe it was. And so if you want to learn about that particular topic, you can come in. Then there's seminars, which is a little bit more in depth. It's 4 hours, and they spread that in 2 hours for 2 weeks. And then courses you have even more in depth. So if you want to learn about Shakespeare, obviously you can't do it in an hour and a half or 4 hours.
Where are you located?
We are located at Jewish Center, Bris Shalom Congregation, a building on 32nd and State.
Okay, very easy to find right
there.
Very
easy to find. It is. We have a wonderful relationship with the congregation there. We use about 90% of the building at this point, and we're actually going through some renovations. And
we have a lot of people in the audience watching that like to say, well, I'd like to certainly attend. I've seen you advertise them a lot, but I think I have something to give because I have maybe a really strong background in a specific kind of field. How do they get in touch with you to say, I'd like to offer you my services? I assume you don't pay these people.
The people who teach at the Jefferson, we do pay a little. I believe it's $75 for an hour and a half. We don't pay much, but most of our instructors that come to the Jefferson, they basically call me. Hey, I have this great lecture. I studied this for many years. I teach in such and such college. I'd like to offer this to the general public in Erie. Can you put me in your program? Well, yeah, I would like to put everybody. There is a committee that generally screens all the programs and says, okay, this is a program, because most of our programs we don't focus on how to do things. So we don't teach people French. We don't teach them how to program a computer. We don't teach them how to do anything. It's more of learning the idea, learning the past, studying ourselves right now, what we're doing, and even we have futuristic classes, but not. We just don't. So the committee screens some classes. Okay, this program follows our mission, and this program doesn't. And most of the time, they do select at one point to put the
Let me read from your brochure. It says, Thomas Jefferson believed a citizenry that was educated on issues and shared its ideas through public discourse had the power to make a difference in the world. Would that kind of sum up what you were just saying a little while ago?
Exactly.
So, it's a place where you can have a diversity of ideas and agree to disagree agreeably.
Exactly. We want to learn.
A think tank, sort of?
A think tank, yeah. We are a bipartisan organization. We have strong Republicans in our board. For example, if you look at Bill Sennett, Bruce Ramey, Tom Hagen, and then you have liberals like Joyce Savacchio, Judy Lynch, Dr. Garvey, and so on and so forth. So basically, our mission is to follow the truth, whatever it may lead.
Okay.
There's another side to the Jefferson, and that is the research side. We do research. We just finished a book on the Erie School District history from 1795 to the current.
Who does that? So I come to you and I say, gee, I'm really interested, or does the school district say to you, we really like to know where we've been?
Yeah.
And who does that then? Who takes on
well,
that
we have
task?
A pretty good board, first of all. I mean, a lot of our writers are contributed writers. We have, so the school district came in, we found a researcher, Bob Guerin, who did most of the writing, and then we had Dr. Garvey edit the book, and he also contributed in some of the writing.
And then the book goes to the school district.
To the school district, and they do as they want with it. And they chose to print 1,500 of the books.
And it's available to the public?
It's available to the public through the school district.
Through the school district.
Another book that we just published is, we had former county executive Judy Lynch write the history of Mercer's Northeast. They just celebrated their 20-year anniversary, and they wanted to see how they developed over the last 20 years, and that's another book that is available, I believe, at the Northeast bookstore. Okay.
Other than that, and that's really a big undertaking, there's an awful lot of research and writing and editing to get that done. That just doesn't happen over the weekend, for sure. You do have and you do offer topical lectures of events that might have happened, let's say, where we're coming up on the War of 1812, but yet the ramifications of that still play out here today, 200 years later. So what people were talking about, there's a huge interest in where we were because it affects who we are and who we will be. And that is maybe what a lot of people see advertised is come and listen to, because you get, if you have these big global summits, which you've had, you get some big names that come in there. One of them just recently was Steve Scully, who has come from Erie, works at C-SPAN, has enormous contacts with the Washington community, and hopefully he's going to be able to be a benefit to you.
Well, we decided that every year in November we're going to give an Erieite who went in the world and made a big difference. We're going to give that person an award. A person from Erie. So this year is Steve Scully. Next year we'll find, next year we'll find somebody else. We have, the summit is a yearly thing that happens every November. We bring in nationally and internationally known speakers into the Erie area.
And you do charge for that?
We do charge. The charges are minimal. $20 for a luncheon and $15 for an evening event.
You'd see, is it Admiral Hayden? You see him someplace else, you'd be paying $100 or $250 a seat.
Yes, General Michael Hayden is, he just...
General, I call him Admiral.
General Michael Hayden, that's all right. Just came into town and spoke about how America, the boundaries that you have to walk through to protect, are you protecting the country, are you protecting the civil liberties? So how can you protect the idea of what America stands for when you're fighting terrorists that have no rules? So incredible. And he came right here in Erie and gave us this great talk. So, and then we had Alice Rivland, who was the former head of the budget for the federal government. And she came into town and talked about how we're gonna get out of this debt mess that we're in. And it really is a mess. Imagine if you were born the day that Jesus was born, for example, and you won the lottery for $20 million every day until today. You still wouldn't be able to pay our national debt of $14 trillion.
That's a pretty good analogy.
So so she basically
a lot of challenging ideas. Now, not to diminish those great big thinking ideas, a lot of the people who present locally talk about even events that have occurred locally. I know that the Sons Save Our Native Species, Dave Frew and Jerry Skripczak talk about fishing, I think, in the Great Lakes at one point, you know. I mean, that's an extreme of interest to people because perch fishing is not what it used to be. And when it says perch on the menu, it doesn't mean it always came from here in Lake Erie. It could have come from a farm somewhere, or it could have come from an ocean somewhere. So nice to find out these ideas are being explored and talked about. Another one here is, I believe it is the Colby family. And I think the Colby family had something to do with freezing the fish, I believe, or freezing them. Yes, local family.
For I remember, and by the way, Dr. Frew and Mr. Skripczak. I always have trouble saying his last name. I hope he forgives me.
He does. He's been here.
They just published a book. They just recently published a book about the history of fishing in Port Erie, basically. And I think the Colby family was the first family that, or the first people who figured out how to freeze fish for a long period of time so that it doesn't go bad.
Another way, I'm looking at some of these other notes here. President Lincoln in Erie County was by Sabina Freeman. Here's the New Egypt by Bahir Gaucher. I mean, how much more topical can you get than that upper northern tier of Africa? Just
it's
Libya, Syria, the whole impact that it has on all of us.
The world is changing.
Yes.
And we wanted the people who live in the Erie area to be as informed as possible on what's happening around the world. So we just had, for example, in September, we had the 9/11 week. Basically, it was a commemoration to the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. And we had people who came in from, actually, it was from Washington, from Utah, who came and talked about, are we safer now? And what's going on with the Arab Spring countries? And it basically we want to keep up to date. We want to inform our people what's happening and more of what's going to happen.
Let's open the channels of communication. Let's give people opportunities to experience. When these people are done, is there a question and answer period?
There is.
I'd like to ask you about?
There is always a question and answer period. Usually the person comes and talks about an hour and 15 minutes, and then there's about 15, 20 minutes left for question and answers. And it's very informal. You don't have to read to come into our lectures. There's no quizzes. You come in. There is usually about 10 programs a term that are free to the public, and the rest of them, it's a minimal fee of $10 or $15 if you're coming with a guest. And you just sit, learn, and if you didn't understand something, you ask a question.
I think it's a wonderful idea, and I hope that our viewers agree also, because you advertise heavily enough that people should be aware of who's coming up when. You send out flyers such as this, or I believe it's usually in the media somewhere.
We're in the Erie Times News. We are in some of the TV channels. But, you know, interestingly enough, our most effective way of advertising is through direct mail. So people just call and say, hey, I want to be on your mailing list.
Yes.
They give us a call.
Okay, direct mail.
And we send them every 2 or 3 weeks. We send them what's coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks at the Jefferson. We have 4 terms a year, so at the beginning, about a month prior to the term starting, we'll send them a big brochure that explains exactly what's coming up at the Jefferson.
There's an interesting one that was just done it's called Beautiful by Intention, Naming the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in the City of Erie's Architecture by Michael DeSanctis, PhD. Now, if I'm correct, he's a priest? Or am I wrong?
Dr. DeSanctis is a professor at Gannett.
Okay, he's not a
priest. But
priest.
he does do architectural work for a lot of churches. So I can understand how you...
I must have got him confused.
He is...
So it just goes from the alpha to the omega, perhaps, in subject matters here. But there are some... politically bent in some areas. How politics, for example, President Lincoln in Erie County. You know, I mean, that's kind of be fascinating. I didn't know that Lincoln came to Erie County.
He did come twice.
I didn't. Yes.
Basically,
Washington, we know, slept here somewhere.
In Waterford, I believe.
Waterford, yes. But I wasn't aware of Lincoln. I'll be darned.
He came here once during his campaign to run for president, and the other time is he passed through here. Well, his body passed through here when he was there.
Yeah, okay, his body passed through here.
So
now, do you ever talk about anything? Are you said I know a great deal about because I've researched this and I've written about it? Have you ever done this?
I am going to start to do more of that. I'm fairly busy in getting other people to schedule and stuff like that, and I want to wait until I learn more.
Okay.
I don't. I know a little bit about many things, but I don't know a great deal about a particular topic.
So here's a perfect pitch for you. If you are the person or the people that you're describing, and you would like to be put on the list to be a lecturer or something of that nature, how do they get in touch with you? What's the address, the phone number, the website, the whole 9 yards?
Give me a call. I'm in the office pretty much all the time from 9 till 9. Usually we have programs. So give me a call. 459-8000 is our phone number, and you can visit us on our website at jeserie.org. Or just come visit us, drop by.
If you go online at jeserie.org, does it list the upcoming lectures?
It does.
It does, okay.
Absolutely.
And so you can look a little out, maybe a couple weeks out or so, and say, gee, this is really terrific. I'd like to attend
Join
that
us
one.
on Facebook as well.
Really?
Yeah, we're
So
on
you're
Facebook.
Everywhere. Yeah.
No Twitter yet. We haven't had the commitment to join Twitter yet, because you got to constantly do something, and we'd rather be out there. And
I count us fortunate, I hope you do too, that a community this size that has a strong post-secondary presence with Gannon, with Edinburgh, with Barron, with Mercyhurst, and certainly with Allegheny in our regions, that we have this academic community that values diversity, that, as Jefferson is noted to say, public discourse to do this. I don't think a lot of other communities have what we have. Not to my looking around, at least.
Erie has been vastly underestimated when it comes to its intellectual thirst. We have already 3,000 unique individuals who have taken classes at the Jefferson. I know it's kind of hard, a lot of the colleges, they're focused in getting kids prepared for the world.
Yes.
Well, there's not much of a focus in terms of educating the people who don't have the time to go to a college course for, 15 weeks or 10 weeks if you're running a term like Mercyhurst College. People just don't have the time. They want to come and learn an hour and a half, get something, and then move on with their day-to-day busy lives. So there's, every term that we have, we're 1,000 unique individuals per term.
That's pretty nice. That means the word is getting out.
It is getting out. Our goal is to reach about 5,000 people that take courses at the Jefferson regularly, and our biggest friend is the word of mouth.
Yes. Can you, most popular one or ones that you've done, the ones that people just have flocked to and said, yeah, I really think this is pretty good. I want to know more about this one. Is that putting you too much on the spot? Is there a couple, 2 or 3 that stand out really as biggies?
Well, people are usually fascinated with their own history. So if you have Dr. Garvey, who did for example, a lecture on...
Now we're talking about the same Dr. Garvey who was at Mercyhurst.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Same gentleman.
That's the same guy. He's the president of the society, by the way.
Okay.
He talked about the War of 1812 and the Battle of Lake Erie. Erie, when it was 500 people, it built the fleet that right here on the foot of parade, built a fleet that defeated the British in the Battle Lake area.
No mean task, no easy task.
Not at all.
Yes.
And so people are fascinated with their own past, and they want to know what happened. So the eerie history ones usually draw very well.
Okay. Bringing me to this. Today's students are virally placed. The oral tradition perhaps is not strong in them. The written print is not strong. I've taught in colleges. My students do not really see the newspaper as part of their life. It's not part of their DNA anymore. So how do you convince the people that don't see this as part of their life to come and say to you, come on, you gotta realize that there's some things going on here that we'd like you to know about? Because is it perceived as being, they're just all over 25. That's too old,
Yeah, well, that
Thank
is...
goodness you're not past 25.
I am.
Okay.
But I think that American students, because of technology, their writing skills may not be as strong as it was, but I think we'll get past it.
Yeah.
I think when I was when I was 17, 18, went through the college, I really was focused on my day-to-day life, rather than
absolutely.
focusing on. So we just got to give them time, and we work with the local colleges to spread the word in some of our programming. Good. Last year, for example, during actually in 2010 summit, we had over 120 students who took part in our Global Future Summit. From Gannon, from Barron, from Mercyhurst, Edinburgh. Yeah. So,
in person, you get to see some major players here. And I think you're right when you mentioned that Adams and Jefferson exchanged countless numbers of letters that today maybe countless
text messages.
Yeah, maybe even an email or two. It's just not there anymore like it used to be. Again, this is Ferky Ferretti. He is the executive director of the Jefferson Educational Society. It's located at about 32nd and State. It's in the Jewish Center. Congregation. Bris Shalom?
Bris Shalom.
Bris Shalom. And if you are thirsting for, or you'd like to be a part of whatever it is that they do there in the realm of current events or history of, or you'd like to come and just find out more about what makes us tick, who we were, who we are, how did we get to be in this trillion dollar situation?
Trillion. Yeah. And where are we going? That's the most important thing.
And this is the person to call to see. Again, your number is and your website is
459-8000 is the phone number, and jeserie.org is the website.
jeserie.org. Lots of information on that jeserie.org. Okay. Thomas Jefferson is their namesake. It's not by accident you chose him, right? No, because Jefferson said once more time, Jefferson believed the citizenry that was educated on issues and shared its idea through public discourse had the power to make a difference in the world. And so that's why their logo, their symbol is Jefferson. And his home, I believe here, is it
that is Memorial? The Jefferson Monument in Washington.
In Washington. Not by accident, it's called that. Ferky, thanks for coming in and telling all these people, look for your phone to ring off the hook because they'd like to be a part of what you do.
We certainly hope so. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for joining us. I'm Phil Fatika. Until next time, take care.